Good afternoon on what is a mild and overcast day. It's Friday the 17th of September, one day before Owlbear and Wizard Staff here in the UK, little mini convention. And of course, I'm back in the reading nook with a nice hot cup of tea and a parcel to unbox. Now this one has come from Action Game LLC in Kearney, New Jersey. So I think I know what this is, so let's find out. Go. Okay. Okay. It is Rocket to Russia, a Point Nemo prelude by John McGuire and Gio Galazzo. 3, 2, 1, action. So it's not quite what I was expecting, but not to worry. So here we go. A madman is running amok on a mysterious island where super science has gone horribly wrong and carnivorous creatures are chowing down on the soldiers stationed there. You're a member of a clandestine cleanup crew sent in to clean the air of this tropical hell before the clock runs out. Rocket to Russia is a sci-fi survival adventure one-shot RPG in the vein of Contra and Predator, set on a strange island in the middle of nowhere. Rocket is played using the brand new 3, 2, 1 action RPG system, where the focus is always on story and fun over physics. So, okay, now the inspiration of this, as best it says on the cover, is the computer game Contra, where you basically got a single, but basically with like the console game where you would land your soldier on the island and he would blast his way through the opposition, sometimes together with another player, mostly on his own. And then Predator, of course, is the movie from sort of 1986 or so, 1987, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, in which he is assigned to strike at a drugs operation in some unnamed South American country, only for him to be hunted by he and his colleagues be hunted by an alien known as a predator. So, well, this is, I mean, obviously the cover's plain, okay, but inside is actually quite nice. I've just basically quick glance, it's sort of like, okay, nice blast of colour on the inside cover, and basically nice paper stock, and then we get into it's nice and simple layout, and it does deal with content warnings and lines and veils and the X, just as you would really expect in a modern role-playing game these days. Essentially, respect your players' limits, and then we get into essentially the only person who should read this book is the same person who runs the game, known as the game runner. Essentially, consider your role similar to that of a showrunner, except of course for it being a tabletop role-playing game. Okay, and essentially each scene begins with a title bold which can be read aloud. Corresponding flavor text which can also which is also meant to be read aloud is blocked out below the heading. Game runner information will be listed as GR notes and so on. So it is quite heavily staged, if you see what I mean. It's basically, there are particular scenes that your players will encounter and have to deal with. So I'm not quite sure what kind of creature that is, but I do like the idea of the showrunner sat there sort of like, on the little chair and, with his megaphone, and presumably with the showrunner or the name across the back of the chair. Basically pure Hollywood. And there he is presumably consoling a player character later on. So quite nice artwork, and rewarding the players. Okay, very modern, very cupcake. And they basically, there's a section for the GM, for the game runner, and we'll get into the GR, and then we get to the player, and explanation of the stats and pre-gen characters. So very sort of basically cartoony artwork there with the thumbnails. various NPC characters. Nook, no photo available. Don't know what that is. No, that's yes. And essentially some guidelines on rolling a character and assigning roles and so on, which adjust the stats, and then a backstory. But each character should have a backstory in 3 sentences and an inventory, and then you've got the obligatory list of ranged of weapons. So we have everything from brass knuckles, combat knife, through samurai sword. It being a 1980s kind of game, you have the M9 handgun, the Beretta, and the M4 rifle. So very American. We're into ranged weapons, so flamethrower, decommission, grenade launch, sniper rifle, all there basically if you're doing that kind of military operation. And then what we've actually got, monsters and creatures. So not just common leeches, but alien beasts there. So that's a bit of a spoiler there, and I could see this essentially when you've got more. And I really like these illustrations. Let's show that. Various monsters and NPCs, and then equipment such as a very light bomber, and then rocket to Russia, sort of played out across this island, and presumably, those are the unknown zones on the island. And then we get into episode 1. So what we have got, scene 0 before the credits, a little bit of text for the GR, the game runner, to read out. So scene 0 before the credits, you sit back and listen to the gentle nuclear come resonating through the bulkheads of the USS Seawolf mini-sub. It's hot in here, real hot. And there's no room for luxuries either. No AC, no stereo, no portholes, not even a captain. This sub is automated and self-driving, only used in missions where secrecy is paramount. And then essentially we get everything set up and begin making the assault via a moon pool. So scene 1, moon pool, which is very very sort of espionage, sort of like spy action orientated, with certain movies. So obviously things like Thunderball, for example, James Bond having to swim under and enter the ship and explore it via the moon pool. And again, we've got further episodes all the way down to, let's have a look. I think that's it. Essentially, there's episode 4, epilogue after the credits, and with the government black site, location unknown. So yeah, very 80s in its kind of styling and its tone. We've got a preview of 3, 2, 1 horror there. So that's Rocket to Russia. Essentially a pulp action role-playing game or scenario designed as a one-shot, essentially, just as an alternative to something else. And obviously I don't think that's intended to be played entirely seriously because of the subject matter and the tone of the aliens, and essentially, the movies they kind of sort that they're drawing from for inspiration, such as Predator, for example, are popcorn movies, and they're not too serious either. So yeah, well, I will get to review that in due course. That's going to be fun. So I want to thank the authors for sending me a copy of that to review. In the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. And if you have, please hit that like button down below. And And if you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you giving those. I do take the time to read them and respond as I can. And lastly, of course, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me here with a parcel, a book, and of course a nice hot cup of tea, and me chatting away for about 10 minutes about something new that's arrived on my doorstep for about 10 minutes to the best of my ability, then please hit that subscribe button. Well, thanks again for watching. I'll be back again soon with another unboxing in the Nook. Bye for now.